Hi, welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion. But before we begin, I just want to do one simple thing here. Okay? Can give you time to read that? Okay. Now let's move on. Okay, so Captain America Brave New World. The critics who say that this movie is really good and is like a brave new stance from Marvel and all that is not telling you the truth. They're just not. They're the preferred critics, like I've talked about in previous reviews. That's all I'm gonna say because I want YouTube to post this. Um, so yeah, it's not a good movie. The problem, there's a lot. I will go through it, and I think one of the biggest problems with the film is just that it's just so hard to care. It really is. It's so hard to care because one, most of this doesn't connect, isn't gonna connect, except for maybe a tiny bit of connection to Thunderbolts, tiny bit. But again, most of it is just kind of the table scraps of Marvel at this point. Just like a little bit of Hulk from the 2008, a little bit of Eternals, a little bit of like the Captain America and the Winter Soldier. Sorry, I meant Falcon and the Winter Soldier because he is not Cap. Okay, and that's the biggest thing here. That's another big thing too. He doesn't have powers. Is the thing. He doesn't. At least Cap the last time had powers, and the problem is with this one is that they have to keep trying to tell you that he deserves this spot. He's deserved this spot. I'm gonna tell you, the only reason they gave it to the Cap that's in it now is three reasons. DEI. Only reasons. And now they're kind of stuck with him because even though the actor himself clearly doesn't want to be a part of it because of the interview I'm sure you all heard. If you know this movie, you've heard the quote the actor said. So I don't know if I need to repeat it. Um, so so it's just kind of the problem is it just feels like a leftover from a time of Marvel that was very divisive, is what I'll say. And the problem is that now since it wants to go in a bold new direction with things like Thunderbolts and with Fantastic Four, it's having a little bit of a hard time because it can't quite. You can't mix what people didn't like with what you hope they do like and expect it all to just be loved. You gotta realize what works and what doesn't work. And I'm sorry, this just does not. It does not work. Now again, it's not the actor, so don't try to post those ists and phobes on the thing. It's just the actor that you don't like. No, I like the actor. He did a great Falcon. If you made him just Falcon in this, honestly, it would probably improve the movie because at least then it would take the veneer of Steve Rogers off of the thing and allow it to be its own film. If this was a Falcon movie, I think people wouldn't have minded it. And you could still have the Danny Rojas, I think is his name, as the thing, and you could still have everything you used to have it. Just the problem is that you gotta have. You can't keep the character that you essentially just switched because of what I said earlier, and that is very divisive for fans. The fans did not like it. Even he gave up the shield at one point. Even in the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, he gave up the shield at one point. So it's kind of like even he didn't want it. Even the character himself didn't want it. The actor doesn't seem like he's that enthralled with the idea, due to comments he's been saying online, and it's just so it just feels like a total misfire all around. And speaking of misfires, I gotta say, everyone says Harrison Ford is so great in this. Okay? He's just Harrison Ford, okay? You know, like going in, if you haven't seen this movie before and you basically have a general understanding of what Harrison Ford's character is, you're completely right. You're completely right. Now, I want to get. Now, I guess I should go next with the plot here. So basically, the movie's plot is Harrison Ford. I'm not going to use names. I'm just going to use actors. I might use names for some other characters, but I'm just going to say Harrison Ford because that's who he's playing. You know, part of the time. There's a half and half thing that I'll get to in a little bit. So Harrison Ford wins the election, becomes the president, and has this treaty ready and wants to be signed where you see, here's the thing. At the end of the Eternals movie, there was this giant celestial. I'm sure I'm not saying that right, but you know, there's this giant celestial in the Indian Ocean. Watch the movie. Tell me that's not what he says. And basically, every country is running to try to get the rare minerals out of this. Now, this is a part that I didn't really think, because it wants in this when it talks about this, it wants to be the Hunt for Red October type thing, like they're going, or like a, you know, like a Jack Ryan novel. Like it wants to be that, where they're going after this rare new mineral and materials that haven't been seen before and can upgrade science. Just the problem is that they try to say that like nobody went for it. They try to say that like we were fighting for it, but nobody started mining it until this treaty was signed. I'm gonna say it that I do not believe that. I believe if we hadn't, I believe someone in the world, one of the world leaders would have looked at that giant statue basically made out of lithium and gold, essentially, you know, and been like, yes, we are going to go get that. We are going to go get that. You know, like you saw the space race with the asteroid. There was a story that happened at one point that like an asteroid was flying in space and had a lot of lithium things, and unfortunately it traveled too far into space for anybody to grab, but there was like a mining hope. So even just that proves that like someone would have had a mining thing on this while back. I'm just gonna say it. So it's like, so that doesn't really connect to real life for me to be like, well, the treaty is what needs to. It's like, and then we get to probably a dumb part of Harrison Ford's character. Don't worry, there's a lot more, but I'll get to that. So there's a whole background for his mustache. You know, like Murder on the Orient Express sequel had to have a whole backstory just to show you that he has a mustache. Thank you. I never would have been able to tell. Thank you. So they give his mustache a background. I know the actor before had a mustache, and you know, for them saying that they made a thing to not put Harrison in the mustache, they literally have a clip of him with the fake mustache on. So it's like, so he could have worn it. He really could have. I'm just saying, like if you're gonna have the whole, if you either don't have it at all or have it, but you don't get to say we're not gonna have him have the mustache at all, and then say, oh, by the way, we're gonna have for a split second he has the fake mustache on, just so then it's like, well, why didn't he just wear it the whole time? I don't know. And again, here's the thing here's my opinion on Harrison Ford's character. I think Elliot should have stayed. I really do. Like, Sam Elliott played the same character in the Hulk movie. I think he should have continued with it. I know William Hurt died, but it doesn't mean that you can't keep the other guy who did it. Because I'm sorry, Harrison's just so, he's basically doing a retread of The Fugitive again. You know, The Fugitive, Air Force One, just all the roles he's ever done. He's just doing a retread of all that, and it's just, you can even see like for instance, right here. Tell me that doesn't look like he wants to say, "Get off my plane" and stuff. So it's like, you know, they even do that in Marvel. They even had the president before him in the series come back, and at the end of the movie while he's quitting, he says, "Get off my planet." And I posted as soon as I heard that and said, haha, very funny. Just because Harrison Ford's in it, now we have to have that line, because get it, Harrison Ford's going to play that character. So anyway, back to the plot. So Falcon, I'm not going to call him Cap again. I'm not, because he's not Cap. Basically has to try to help his friend Isaiah, who is basically in the same position Bucky was in Winter Soldier, that he basically is just being hypnotized by the bad guy to do it, because Isaiah is a super soldier. Now let's and so he's trying to help Isaiah. Harrison's trying to do the treaty. And here's the biggest thing. It feels like there's like probably 3 different movies at once. It feels like there's a movie about like international trade and mining. It feels like in the Avengers universe, it feels like there's a movie about like framing international espionage and all that, like Homeland type thing. And then it wants to be the goofy cartoon with the, look at this guy. Look at this guy and tell me I'm wrong. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Tell me I'm wrong. They want him to be like basically the cartoon villain of like, but here's the thing. You can't have your serious attitude and have a Red Hulk and have the Celestial in the water and have, and I think some critics say you can't have the Celestial and be serious. I disagree. I think you can have the Celestial. You can have the Celestial and be serious, because as long as you don't really show them a lot and just keep saying it's just a thing we're mining for the Wolverine materials, and again, it's just to be and again, even the Celestial itself is only brought back because wink wink Wolverine's coming. Too bad Wolverine already came back. It kind of kills the Wolverine's coming back buzz when he already came back and was with Deadpool. But all right, yeah. So it's like, what will Wolverine look like? He looks like Hugh Jackman, because Hugh Jackman came back in the Deadpool thing. And don't worry, they're not going to get rid of Hugh Jackman anytime soon. So then there's this guy. He plays basically the same character he played in Electric State, where he's just a mercenary guy. And then he just kind of leaves, I guess. Like he's arrested at one point and he's jailed. And the only reason they jail him is because I guess they thought there's a future spin-off in him. Too bad this movie was so bad and nobody liked him. It probably won't happen, but you could tell there was a spin-off kind of. You could tell they were kind of trying to do like a he's gonna come back thing. And then we get to this character. He is a holdover Tim Blake Nelson is the same character, but yet not the same character. Because the character before was just like a guy in a garage, messing with technology of Hulk. And now he's like the super genius. It's like, I knew you would do that 5 weeks ago. I knew you would do that 7 months ago. Like, and yet he can see all this in the future, but he can't tell that he's about to be imprisoned by Harrison Ford to get medication from him. See, he basically makes Harrison Ford's heart medication because and he drugs the heart medication with gamma rays to basically make him a Red Hulk. That's okay, yeah, like, and again, some people were like, oh well, and again, that's kind of the problem, is that you can't have this serious talk between, Japan and Harrison Ford, and he's trying to do this deal, and he's being so hard-nosed and trying to keep the world together with this deal and treaty, and it's like, but you can't also have him turn into a Red Hulk at the end and smash around DC. Like you gotta pick one. Do you want the really serious Homeland tone, or do you want the goofy, bombastic Marvel tone? You gotta pick one, because both don't work. And this guy doesn't work either, because one, he kind of appears halfway through the film and just kind of appears. And then first off, here's the thing. Here's the reason. Trailers don't help movies. Okay? They just don't. Because you already saw who it was. You already saw what he looked like, and you already saw what his plan was in the trailers. So it was kind of like, okay, so like there's no tension buildup, because if you've seen a trailer, you know the whole plot. If you've seen the clips that Marvel aired, which again, that's a great way to build up suspense for your film. If you were picking clips that basically didn't tell you this is going to happen, this is going to happen, and this is how this is going to happen. If you picked just the Hulk fighting scene and just the scene of him doing like to Falcon, that'd be one thing. But the problem is that you did it the complete opposite way, where you decided to just kind of tell the audience through clips and through trailers everything already. And Marvel did this as like the advertising for it. Come watch this movie. Here's all the important plot points. Come watch this movie. And that's the problem with trailers as a whole now, that it basically just tells you the whole film. So it's like, oh, okay, I've seen it now, so I don't have to. That's the end there. That's the beginning. That's the middle, and that's all the important parts. So I don't have to watch it. I can wait for the critics that I like to review it. And don't lie to yourself. Most people just do that. Marvel. Don't pretend. So his master plan is to turn him into the Hulk during the submarine fight that looks fake as hell. It really does. It makes you appreciate Top Gun so much, because you're like, at least they actually had, jets and stuff, and you really see the difference. Watch the jet scene from this, and then watch the jet scenes from Top Gun, and tell me you don't see a complete difference. Because this one feels like you're just watching a video game. So it's like, oh, well, good thing Falcon has extra lives. Oh wait, this is a movie. Oh wait, this is a Marvel movie, so he does have extra lives. And that's kind of the thing. Like, he has no powers, Falcon, but yet basically they've decided that he's like this unkillable, unstoppable superhero. Even though, again, at least Steve Rogers had the serum. Which there's this whole thing about, should he have taken the serum? Should he not have taken the serum? I think I speak for most of the internet, I know, because I've watched a lot of critics when I say, take the serum. Take the serum. Take the serum that turns you into a superhero, okay? If you're going to be a superhero, take the thing that helps you have powers. All right, so, and this guy just turns himself in and he's such a non-entity is the thing. You forget he's even a thing. He has the Baron Zemo problem, is that you forget he's even a part of the film until they cut back to him. And I know everybody's like, Baron Zemo was so important. Not really. The Sokovia, just like in that movie. Ross had this whole treaty, bill, legal, treaty thing signed to affect the Avengers. And the problem is that you can't do that again and expect it to be different. And that's the problem. This movie's trying to be Winter Soldier, Avengers Civil War, just without the Avenger part. And then there is a part where he says, we need to bring back the Avengers. And it's like, that's just a trailer line. It doesn't matter. It's only there to try to entice you into the movie, to be like, oh, maybe the Avengers will come. No, they won't. The most you'll get is new Falcon, who even the writers don't like that much, because they decide he's in a coma now. And again, just like in the movie Captain America Civil War, they literally did that with the War Machine, or Iron Patriot, or War Machine, or whatever he was called in that one. They literally just shelved him because they didn't know what to do. So it's like, well, he's in a coma. Same thing here. Well, he's in a coma. He might wake up. He might not. He wakes up later, and Falcon says a whole thing, and it's just, he does the whole "God, you're awake, buddy," but you could tell the writers weren't even invested in him because they didn't give him a lot. That's the thing. Like, they treat him like he's Falcon's Robin. But the problem is that it's not really, and he's the new Falcon now. And I don't have a problem with the character. It's just, he's so pointless. You could have just cut him out and really been able to, you would have had to save yourself the scene of the submarines and stuff. Because again, the submarine scene doesn't need, the scenes that they're obviously trying to do the Hunt for Red October thing, obviously trying to do the the Top Gun type-esque things. But the problem is that it's so fake. And then meanwhile, again, if we focused on the action, that'd be one thing. But we don't focus on the action the whole time. It's split between him and Harrison Ford barely holding back Red Hulk on the submarine. So it's like, again, it's great news that the president can just apparently walk into a random room and be moaning and in pain and being like, "Arr, arr, arr," and like not one Secret Service guy will turn around and be like, "Sir, are you all right down in the hallway? You need something?" Nothing? Okay. Apparently, they don't care. And just want to tell this one real quick. Liv Tyler plays the same character she did in The Incredible Hulk. They want this to be a whole thing that like she and her dad don't talk, and but all it is basically just to remind you, cherry blossoms. That's what will make Red Hulk turn back into Harrison Ford. And then in the end, there's an end credit scene where she forgives her dad because he's in prison. Oh, and speaking of that, let's get on that topic for a second. So Harrison Ford there turns into this because of the gamma ray pills I just told you about, and he demolishes a lot of DC. But again, they try to treat it like it's his fault. It's his fault that he did it, and it's like, well, actually, here's the thing: the other guy hypnotized him to turn into Red Hulk. He drugged him to turn into Red Hulk, and then he just jumps, and then and Harrison Ford becomes Red Hulk because the other guy drugged him to become Red Hulk and hypnotized him. So it's like, it's out of his control what happens as soon as he becomes Red Hulk. And then the way they have him, and here's another thing too. Everyone was talking about how Falcon could never get into a fight with Red Hulk and survive. I completely agree. I don't even know like the comic book lore around it. The other people like are saying the comic book lore says this. I don't even know the comic book lore around it, and even I watching it as an outside viewer to it was like, no. This guy without superpowers is not able to beat this unstoppable killing machine thing without being killed. And all the satire videos you've seen of he would have died are true. They're all true. He would have died. This scene here would have killed, it would have killed him. All the people who said it are true. And all the people who said he would die, they're true. The fight does not feel two-sided. It feels very lifted up by just technology. Even Black Mirror would kind of wince at, like, oh, okay, yeah. So here's the thing about my opinion on the Red Hulk fight. Besides that, I don't really appreciate what they did with Red Hulk here, because I believe I'm in the camp of people who believe that the idea of the president turning into a giant rage monster in front of the press is clearly similar to how writers feel about current day politics. Clearly, it's clear. It's very, and people who say Harrison Ford's not supposed to be him. Yes, he is. You can see it. You can, they might as well have talked about walls, because it's because it really is obvious. And the Red Hulk is clearly not there just because it's in the comics. It's clearly there because we feel this about current guy. So therefore, this is what we're going to do with it. And again, you could say, oh, this was written before. This whole scene. So there's this scene where Captain Falcon basically talks him down by saying, think of Betty. And then Harrison Ford goes back to Harrison Ford. Why wasn't Betty there? Why couldn't you? She just randomly appears later. Why couldn't she just be part of it now? Why couldn't she be part of it now? Why did she have to be gone? And see, this is kind of the thing. And then he shrinks down, and some people would say the reason what happens later is because he held that doctor at gunpoint for medication. It's like, Yeah, but I mean, the villain is able to see the future and couldn't figure out that maybe Harrison Ford wasn't going to let him go. And also, there's a scene where they let it, they hear it. So there's a scene where the bad guy basically plays the audio of him and Harrison Ford talking about it to try to blackmail him right before he goes to jail because he doesn't want to be. The writers don't know what to do with him, so he goes to jail. And Harrison, even being held back by Secret Service, is like, I gotta tell him. I gotta tell him what's the truth about it. I gotta tell him because he's dying, you see. So I feel like, him dying and making the medication for him probably would have helped a little bit in that case, but nobody knows that and nobody allows that to be known. And so he shrinks back down into Harrison and he immediately gets sent to jail. And he resigns from presidency saying, I realize that I did something terrible. I am a terrible human being and I want to apologize for all the crimes the real life version of me. I mean, only I did. And that's another thing. They put such an emphasis on moving on at the end of this. They put such an emphasis on that term. Such an emphasis on that term of moving on and getting, things accomplished. Here's the problem with how they're doing it. You can clearly tell they're doing it in a campaigning Hollywood way. You can tell they are because they keep saying Hollywood can move on and grow past the damage that guy did. Wasn't he only in for like 5 months, by the way? Really look at it. He was only in for like 5 months and then he's just gone. So, it's like, okay, like 5 months and then they push him out. So, okay. And then he goes to jail. I'm going to repeat how they wrote this. I'm reading it off of the thing here. The president goes to jail in the Marvel prison again because of news, because it's Hollywood fan fiction, like I've said before, and it's trying so desperately to be this, to be this really great moment, and it's just, I have a lot of mixed feelings about that scene because I don't understand why he has to go straight to jail. I don't understand why he has to, because can't they just help cure him? And for people, it's like, oh, there's no cure. That's a lie. That's a lie. If Marvel really wanted Harrison to be part of this in the future, they would have found some magical way to do it. So that's kind of the thing, is that it's like since he's so obviously the real life guy, you know what I mean? It's pretty obvious what they're doing with it. And they have like multiple scenes of him in front